babies do some crazy things. When we brought our first little girl home, I can't tell you how many times my wife or I said, gosh, what is going on? Is this normal? And maybe you've brought a baby home recently, or you're expecting one, and you're just wondering about all of the little crazy behaviors that newborn is going to do that is going to make you scared out of your mind. And so this week we're going to talk about all of the crazy little newborn reflexes and other little behaviors that babies do that tend to freak out their parents. If this is your first time meeting us, I'm Kurt, I'm a board certified pediatrician. My wife Sarah is a board certified OBGYN, and we are the Doctors Bjorkman. Welcome back. So as it turns out, babies do all sorts of different noises, movements, and crazy things in those first couple weeks of life that just freak parents out. And again, this week we're going to talk about all of these little behaviors so you can know a little bit of what to expect and what things are often normal. The big reason for a lot of these little behaviors is babies are just adjusting to being out in the world. They've lived in kind of this bag of fluid that's been kind of mostly soundproof and kind of sensation free, just living their best life in the uterus as they've grown, and all of a sudden they're out in the world. They have come through this kind of semi-traumatic either birth canal or C-section to come out into the world. Their nervous systems are in this high-tone state, and they're really just settling into their bodies. They're learning what it's like to sense sound, to sense feeling, to sense movement, and all of this as their body and their brain and their nervous system are making connections kind of comes out with some crazy behaviors. So maybe your baby is yawning all the time. This is incredibly normal. They're just resetting things. Actually, those yawns are resetting surfactant and things in their lungs as their lungs are kind of getting used to being out in the world and breathing air for the first time. Maybe there's a lot of sneezing going on in the first couple of days too. Also can be completely normal. Again, their lungs are just getting used to being out in the air and settling out. Other things that I know caught us off guard is just how noisy babies can be, especially when they're asleep. Of course, you know babies are loud when they're crying, when they're hungry, when they're upset, but babies can be incredibly loud sleepers. The amount of grunting or even sometimes crying while fully asleep can just surprise you as a young parent. I know even as we brought home our second and third little one, each time I'm like, gosh, why is this baby making so much noise? They're sound asleep next to you, safe in their bassinet, and they're grunting and moving, and they're just kind of learning their bodies even while completely asleep. Maybe one of the biggest places you're going to notice the baby is getting used to the world around them is through their movements. One of these is just through Startle. They are incredibly just kind of high tone, and sometimes you'll see they have their little shakes, their shivers. Some of this is a Startle reflex that we're going to talk about a little bit coming up. And so actually, we've got baby Hank in some video from when he was just a couple of weeks old to show us all of the crazy little movement reflexes that are incredibly normal in the first couple of weeks of life. That actually makes it really fun to be a pediatrician, to see and do on a physical exam, to say, hey, these are normal movements that your baby's gonna make for the first couple of weeks of life that they're actually gonna grow out of as their nervous system is starting to get used to just being alive and awake and doing all of the normal baby things. Before we get to some of the movement reflexes, I did want to talk about another completely different kind of reflex, and this is the gastrocolic reflex. Something fun that you will notice is that every time they eat, they are likely going to have to poop. It's their stomach, gastric, is feeling sensation of fullness, and it tells their colon, their intestines, to start moving after that. And so they eat and they poop. This is going to keep you really busy with diapers in the first couple weeks of life, but this is natural as their stomachs are kind of coming online. They're learning, hey, how do we keep moving the nutrients through our intestines? You will notice that this is one of those reflexes that, like many of these, go away at that kind of 6 to 10 week age of life. And that's kind of when babies end up being the fussiest too, when they have kind of baby colic. And a lot of that is their stomachs, their intestines, everything is kind of getting used to kind of a more adult pattern of functioning. They're going to lose this gastrocolic reflex, and they're going to start to have more kind of normal kind of peristalsis and movement of nutrients through their intestines and their GI tract. Sometimes this leads to gassiness, sometimes this leads to other sensations. So just know if your baby is extra fussy around 2 months of age, this is actually them growing and developing as they're getting used to kind of a new big change in how their GI tract is working and functioning. So the first of the kind of movement reflexes we're going to talk about today is maybe one of the most important because it really helps baby learn how to find a nipple and then start to eat. And this is going to be the rooting reflex. This is where kind of a gentle stroke on the side of their face, their cheek, they actually naturally turn into that sensation. This is them finding the nipple, whether it be of a bottle or of mom's breast, learning how to find their food source. And this pairs really well with their natural sucking reflex, that if you put something inside their mouth, they're naturally going to latch onto that and start to suck and working on swallowing. Again, both the rooting and the sucking reflex is a natural part of them just learning this feeding routine. Having said that, feeding can be incredibly challenging in the first couple weeks of life. So if you're saying, gosh, this is anything but natural, no, you're not alone. We've done lots of episodes about baby feeding, breastfeeding, bottle feeding, all of these things. Check those out for more information about getting your little one to eat. Another really fun reflex is the fencer reflex. This happens when baby turns their head. They're naturally going to extend that arm of the side they're looking to, and then the other arm on the opposite side is flexing. They're like a fencer. They're getting ready to sword fight, kind of a natural kind of high tone reflex. Another reflex is the startle reflex or the Moro reflex. This is one that actually ends up being a problem for sleep. As you notice, your baby will wake them up from sleep sometimes when their arms are free. Kind of they're getting used to just having their arms movement. We test this by gently lifting their shoulders off of the exam table. As you let them go, you can see their arms come out, and it's almost like they're startling themselves awake or into existence sometimes. For us, this is one of those reasons why we love to swaddle our baby nice and tight for the first couple weeks to really keep them bundled up to help suppress that reflex just a little bit, because we know that this is for us in our experience with our kiddos, this is part of what wakes them up from sleep often in those first couple weeks of life. So if we can help them kind of ease that transition from being in that warm, tight, snug uterus to being out in the world, learning how to sleep and how to manage these reflexes, a nice snuggle or swaddle is really great. Now, I have to say, one of the most, if not the most heartwarming of these reflexes is their grasp reflex. That is, when they feel sensation in their palm, they're naturally going to grab around whatever is there. Often for you, this may mean your finger. They're going to naturally grab on and hold on to you. I remember the first time feeling our little girl holding on to my finger as tight as she could, and it's just this overwhelming sense of joy and happiness of oh, my baby's got me, they know I'm here, they can feel me. Now, do they actually have some overwhelming sensation of love for you at the same time too? Hard to say. This is just a normal reflex, but it's actually one of these really fun things now that we've introduced bigger siblings, toddlers, to new babies that we've brought home, watching them say, oh, he's grabbing my finger, he loves me. It's just really fun that this natural reflex just helps with bonding of parents to their baby with big siblings of their baby. You may notice the feet do this too, even those little toes kind of curling around your finger as you touch the bottom of their foot. Also, if you stroke along the outside edge of the feet, the toes kind of naturally go back. This is an upward going Babinski reflex. This is something that's going to go away and actually change to do the opposite in a month or two, but one of those kind of normal newborn reflexes of the toes kind of extending backwards. Two other kind of fun reflexes that you are going to notice in your newborn is how they move their hips in response to different sensations. So the first that Hank is going to show you today is the Hula dancer reflex or the Galant reflex. This comes with a tap or a stroke at the lower spine or the upper buttock. You'll notice the hip naturally kind of lifts up towards the side that you're stroking towards. As you go kind of back and forth, it almost looks like their hips are doing a little hula dance, which is just kind of fun to play with. Maybe your pediatrician will show you this at a visit. Another fun reflex like this too is the natural gait reflex. As you hold them up and you let their feet kind of gently touch a surface, they may naturally actually almost take a stepping reflex to put their next foot in front of the other. Now, it's really fun to be oh gosh, he's learning to walk already. He's just a week or two old. And Unfortunately, no, your child isn't way ahead of the learning curve. This is a natural stepping gait reflex that babies have. They're going to be working on actually learning how to walk 9, 12, 15 months down the road. And that time is going to come so soon, where the patter of those little feet running through your house is going to be the new soundtrack of your life. Hopefully this was a really fun episode for you, as it was for me, as we talk about and think about all of the crazy things newborns do, whether it be all the yawning, all the sneezing, the noisy sleeping, the pooping with every time they eat. This is normal newborn transition. All of these little newborn movement reflexes are lots of fun too. Hopefully you're enjoying your little one, just holding onto your fingers, soaking up those moments of bonding with your new babe. If you've got questions or other crazy things that your baby has done, please leave them in the comments below. Make sure you're subscribed, like this video, share with a friend. We've got lots of more kind of newborn content as we're going through week by week, month by month through the first year of life with our third baby, bringing to you also more postpartum, pregnancy, and toddler content as well. We will see you guys next week.
We're doctors.
But not your doctors.
Anything we've said in this video is for education or entertainment purposes only.
It is not medical advice.
Any specific medical questions you have should be directed to your provider.